Hey, this is Matt Wenning at WenningStrength.com, and today we're going to go over the top 5 things that I think will help you get leaner for summer. Now, obviously, there's the baseline ones, and maybe we cover a couple of those, but there's going to be some in here that you may not have thought of, so let's get to it. The first thing is you're going to have to eat at a caloric deficit, and what does that mean? That means that if your body is burning, say, 3,000 calories a day, which is pretty good, you're going to need to be at 2,750 or 2,600 or so. Notice I didn't say 800. 2,600, 2,800 calories in order to start seeing some weight loss and to get leaner. Why? The body runs on fuel, and food is fuel. Now, fats, proteins, carbs, all those things make sense, and they are fuel in certain ways and types, but in reality, we need to be in a deficit to get better. How do we know what that is? Well, the best thing you can do is get a DEXA scan or come in here or other places and get a metabolic analytics test. Find out what your fat mass is and find out what your lean mass is. Once you know that lean mass number, there is a calculation for how many calories per pound of that lean mass that you need. For us, we utilize anywhere from 15 to 17 for getting leaner. 17 is if you're a freakazoid workout person, and 15 if you recreationally work out but not crazy. So if you go over, in my opinion, about 17 calories per pound of lean mass, you're probably going to gain body fat or unwanted weight if you do it for an extended period of time. Now, the reason that most people never meet their lean goals or what they want to look like is because they guesstimate what their food is in calories, okay? So make sure that you're trying to measure as best as you can, and that's going to come back down to food prepping or going on, say, vertical diet and getting the actual meals downloaded. You need to know almost down to the 10 or 15 calories per meal of what you're eating. So let's take this math equation into consideration. If we have 150 pounds lean mass times 15 calories, we need 2,250 calories per day in order for us to slowly lose weight. Remember, if we drastically lose weight quickly, it's going to be a problem. That's why we're shooting this top 5 things to utilize for summer. Why? It's March, April, May, and June. We got about 12 weeks or so to get some weight down. So do the calculation for yourself, find out what your lean mass is, and that's going to be the caloric range you're going to want to try to stick around. Step 2, focus on protein. If you're focusing on protein intake, the chances are your food sources or food selections are going to be a better selection. Meaning that if you're focused on, say, getting 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 grams of protein in a meal, you're not going to be able to do that on potato chips and like junk food. You're going to have to eat steak, chicken, turkey, things of those nature. Now, you know that I'm a vertical diet guy, so I'm always going to go to the red meat. But there are other choices that you can make if you're not down with red meat or you just don't like it or whatever. But the trick is that focus on protein. Now, everybody has their own thought process. You talk to a registered dietitian or a strength coach or some meathead in Flex magazine, they're going to tell you all these different numbers of what protein intake should be. My opinion is you need 1 gram per pound of lean mass. And again, we need to know what our lean mass is. So if we weigh 150 pounds of lean mass, we're going to need 150 grams of protein. Now that doesn't sound like a ton, but think about it. If we do 4 meals, 150 grams of protein in 4 meals is what? 35 grams of protein, right? So my point is that you're going to need to eat 35 grams of protein 4 times a day. That's not super easy if you're not planning it. Point is, that's only 150 pounds. The last time I measured my lean mass, it was 233 pounds. So imagine doing 4 or 5 meals a day and trying to match 233 grams of protein. It gets to be very hard. But the point is, if you're focusing on that, the chances are that you're going to make a better food selection. Step 3, the next big thing I think is adding cardio, but it's not going to be adding cardio like what you think. It's not walking 50 minutes on the treadmill or an hour and a half. What I want you to focus on is walking 10 minutes after every meal. And you've probably heard this before by Stan Efferding, the inventor of the vertical diet. But 10-minute walks after you eat is super important. And why? Well, for a couple reasons. 1, it's going to actually help digest your food. 2, it actually stabilizes your insulin level. Those are huge factors in getting leaner. And if you think about it, if you're eating 4 times a day and you walk 10 minutes after each time you eat, That's 40 minutes of cardio built in 10-minute intervals. Pretty easy to fit in your day. So if you're stay-at-home house mom, or you got a desk job where you get breaks or whatever, go use your breaks to walk. You would be surprised over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5 months and how much body fat you would actually lose if you just walked 10 minutes after every time you eat. So try that for another big tip to help you get better. All right, now we're going to go over a couple of things, or maybe one thing to avoid. One, and this is just my opinion, everybody has a different opinion on this stuff, but I have seen some miraculous changes in avoiding one type of food, and that type of food is bread and gluten. If you take away gluten, bread, pizza, and those types of things, you would be amazingly surprised at how much leaner you would get and how flat your stomach would get in a matter of weeks. Why? I personally believe that gluten and the way we modify genetically wheat now, the body just utilizes it almost as an irritant, and it causes a lot of gastric distress, gas, bloating, and all these other things. I've seen clients come in and within 14 days of taking out gluten products, they not only lose weight, their stomach and waist go down a matter of inches. Well, that's not just body fat, that's bloating. But sometimes we get those misconstrued. If you're bloated and you're carrying a lot of indigestion and a lot of just gut waste and just bad stomach health, once you clean that gluten out and get all that stuff out, your stomach will shrink and you'll look leaner automatically, and that is a really quick fix. So step 4, remove gluten. All right, step 5. Step 5 is going to be go get blood work done. And what does that mean? That means that if you have low testosterone, if you have a magnesium deficiency, if you're deficient in zinc or some other macronutrient, what you're going to find is that it's going to impede you either losing weight or delay the process of you actually dropping your pounds. So a couple of the big things that we see deficiencies in is 1, magnesium. Where do we get magnesium? Well, magnesium can come in spinach and a lot of other different foods, but because of the way we cultivate and farm now, magnesium levels in a lot of the foods that used to be high in it are lower. So that means that supplementation most of the time, especially in the United States, just has to be put in the body via supplementation. Now, there's a lot of other things that are involved with that, but I have found that probably 4 out of the 5 people that I have helped and given magnesium to have seen drastic results in a couple things. 1, sleep. 2, insulin response and hunger control. So if you're deficient in magnesium, your insulin doesn't act correctly. Now, don't get it twisted. Magnesium has over 200 different responsibilities in the body. So if you're deficient in it, you're causing some issues. So where do I get my magnesium? Well, obviously we go to ATP Labs. Why? They're in Canada and they're regulated by their FDA. That's case closed, no questions asked. Do not go to Kroger or some other place and grab magnesium. It's not going to be the same, and it's probably just going to make you shit your pants. It's not really going to do what you want it to do. And that's because it's just not regulated. So these are some big things that I think you guys need to be hitting on. You know, the 5 top things. The big one, I think, in my opinion, is getting rid of gluten and getting blood work done. Those are huge, right? Making sure you do your 10-minute walks after you eat. And the biggest one of all is really you're going to have to be in a caloric deficit. Now, what I mean by that is don't drop it down. You know, we had these big doctors coming around, and I think they called it actually Nutrimost here in town, and they were taking people from eating whatever they wanted to 800 calories a day. That's what you give somebody in hospice. Of course they're going to lose weight. And almost 99% of the people that I have seen do those types of extreme dieting, they gain all their weight back plus more. What does this mean? This means that weight loss needs to happen slowly in order to stay off permanently. So go check out the website at wenningstrength.com, download the nutrition manual, and we'll see you guys later.